Okay, what are my thoughts on Barcelona signing 21-year-old Frenkie de Jong from Ajax, which is a club in Amsterdam? But more importantly, it's probably one of the greatest youth programs, probably one of the greatest academies in the world. He's been on the radar for quite some time. The Dutch player, is probably one of the best center mid slash CDM slash CB players in the world. And that's probably the most unique part of Frenkie, is that he's able to play a myriad of positions, all controlling the ball, all circled around the strength of distributing the ball outside, coming back on defense, getting out of dangerous situations, creating opportunities for the rest of the team, spreading the other team, and cutting off angles. Really, if you watch his recruitment tapes, he cuts off angles, and he has a very, what you would like to call a deceptive style, where you feel like he's slowing down, then he speeds off. Doesn't have a lot of fancy footwork, but the footwork he uses is straight to the point, smart, and it always seems to get himself out of issues. But to go back, so Frenkie de Jong has been traded in advance. So this is the January window. He was traded for 75 million euros and a possible 11 million other 11 million euro variables, depending on how he does with incentives. But for the most part, 75 million euros. We picked him up in January. He will be available to use July 1st, 2019. So he gets to end the rest of his season with Ajax so they can go on a run, as well as this is not something Barcelona wanted to do. I think they were sitting on the fence, thinking that they could just pull in Frenkie because he wants to play for Barcelona, so they figured they had the 21-year-old all wrapped up. Turns out, within this month, he got multiple other suitors. Expanded out, PSG was going in heavy. You know, they know that they're losing Rabiot in the summer. They don't want to be Rabiot down and not having a replacement. But what this means for Barcelona, to be honest, after jumping in front of all the other prospective clubs that were going to pay a premium, this is the exact player Barcelona needs to make. This is the exact player Barcelona has wanted and now has. I mean, there's been plenty of greats that have the similar playing style as Frenkie de Jong. Right now, he's playing center back because they need a center back. When they need him to play center defensive mid, he can push up a little bit as well as distribute the ball and stop the offensive attack. He also plays center mid because he has great vision. That's probably his biggest trait, is that he has great vision and he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't make simple mistakes. He doesn't put his team in offensive threat going on a counterattack. He doesn't make the dumb mistakes that a lot of these center midfielders do. And with Barcelona's pressing style, they press so far up the field, they can't afford to have their center mid giving up the ball halfway up the field while both their fullbacks are pinched all the way up into the offensive third. Then they get counterattacked. And right now, unfortunately, while there are a lot of prospects for Barcelona's midfield, Arthur's doing a great job. Some of them are a little bit vulnerable to a counterattack. And Frenkie de Jong coming in at 21-year-old, most likely for Sergio Busquets' replacement, it's a perfect replacement for Barcelona. He can play the defensive mid. He can play up a little bit if need be. They can use him in a 4-3-3 or even a 4-4-2 if need be. I mean, he's so solid, they could probably use 3 fullbacks if they wanted to. But he's a versatile player, and right now, while he's getting a little bit of extra time with Barcelona, he can fill in the spots. He can play center mid while Sergio Roberto is trying to get that position. I think he will push a lot of other people out of the promotional line, because I guess it was brought to their attention that he didn't want to commit to Barcelona unless he had assurances that he was going to be a first team rotation player. And that's perfect for his skill set, because right now, as we see, you have players that are, with Umtiti recovering from his injury. If he comes back 100%, he's a younger, good, strong center back, but PK's 31 years old, so he's going to need a replacement soon. Frenkie can replace that. Sergio Busquets is 30 years old. He can replace his position. And then also, if some of the players are let go, which I've been kind of led to believe with some of the rumors that even Rakitic may be moving on in the summer. You remember, he was heavily linked to a move to PSG last year. While Rakitic is a starter for primarily every game for Barcelona, it has been thought of that he may be wanting to move on to a big club. So if that's a possibility, he can easily slide into Rakitic's position, who plays a holding center midfielder, but with a little bit more of a defensive upside. So I think Frenkie de Jong could possibly be one of the best pickups that Barcelona has made in years. He's great at controlling the ball. He's great at possession. He's great at taking the ball away from the offensive threat. He's great at distributing. And he's a pretty unselfish player. Happy to play defense. Most players, if you put them back in center back, they're going to complain. A center midfielder put back in center back is usually going to complain unless they are more willing to play for the team. And I think everybody feels like it's an honor to play with Messi. So to play in the midfield, distributing to Messi is an honor for anyone, as well as playing in a system that's very similar to the academy he came from, which is a 4-3-3. I think this is a great pickup, and I think there will be a time where we look back and say 2019 was the year we picked up one of the most transformative players for Barcelona.